Hi, everybody. I am Andra Annette, and we are here with another session of Healing from the Inside Out. Tonight, we have a very special guest for you. We have Krista Ford. Now, Krista is a power lifter. She has defied all racial boundaries and gender boundaries, and she has been doing this for over 40 years. So we're going to find out how she stays so strong because she also believes in paying it forward and teaching people how to really live the magic of life. But she has a new book coming out, Krista's Promise. So we're going to talk a little bit about that too, because when I met with her, we meet a lot of people on our journey. But I just felt very aligned with who she was, and there was no stress in our conversation. It just moved very freely, and I think you're really going to love her. So please help me welcome Krista Ford. Hello again.
Yay! Hello there. How are you?
I'm doing very well. So I think everybody is really, because you've done so many things. I was reading your bio and I was like, wow, she won the first silver medal, for women in bobsledding. And I was like, how did she go from here to here? So tell me a little bit about that journey because you've been on this journey for a long time.
Yes, I have. So I'm a they call us multi-athletes. That's athletes that do dual on both spectrums. So I still am in one sport, but I was the first Black female to ever, so I'm a pioneer. That's the biggest thing about bobsled. I was the first to ever do that
Wow.
as Black female doing that. And then I also do my powerlifting. My powerlifting is my love and my passion all of my life. And so I've been in a strength sport and I've been in a cold fast sport before in both of them. And it's an amazing journey. And just being able to do both, being on both US teams, that was the challenge, when I say the challenge, but it's been an amazing experience because um, it's just an amazing experience being on the journey of spiritual. It's more spirituality for me. Over all these years that I've done this and been an athlete, it's really spiritually set for me on how I've been able to do these sports. And it's just been an amazing journey. It has this whole time. And so for the bobsled, I retired from that after the 2002 Olympics. And then I've been picked up. I've been doing my powerlifting for 41 years now. So I've been in that one the longest. That's my passion and my gift. Yeah.
Wow. So when we think about the Olympics, we don't think about people that we know, as doing it. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
seems kind of wow, So what made you decide to like reach for that? Because I mean, that's pretty big too, and that requires so much dedication and heart. So where were you when you said, this is something I really want to be the best at, and I want to go to the Olympics, and I want to take this as far as I can take it?
Right. So for me, powerlifting was my first sport that I still am in. I got recruited to do the bobsled because at that time they were looking for stronger women because the women overseas were killing the United States. Girls from Germany and Russia and France and Canada. The girls were bigger, stronger, faster, and they could push the sled a lot better than the United States did. So when I got into that sport originally, it was not an Olympic sport for females at all. Matter of fact, long time ago from 1940 on to 1994, it was banned. Women could not bobsled. They couldn't get
Wow.
on the sled. They can't go down no ice and all that stuff. So the whole sport was banned for females. Period. Okay. So leading when I first got on the team, it was not an Olympic sport for women. Now, as we started going along, they finally inducted it in at the end of 1999. And at point, when we bobsled trials for the Olympic trials, my brother got hurt. Then that threw us out completely. So it was not my goal to go to the Olympics in general because that sport was not an Olympic sport for women anyway. So I just did it because I loved it, and I did it because I liked it, and I did it because I was recruited to do it, and I was good at it after I started getting taught how to push the sled, how to deal with the ice, how to let your driver do the rest. And the brakeman is the biggest one and the strongest one in the back of the sled. And so, yeah, it wasn't my original dream at all. Because powerlifting is a professional sport. It's not an Olympic sport, so you can make a dollar bill off of powerlifting. So I never had that goal in the first place anyway. I just happened to be in the right place at the right time for that sport. And I was just happened to be the first Black female. So my standing for bobsled, it meant a lot more for me to be the first and be a pioneer than to ever even think about even about the Olympic stuff when they got inducted together. Does that make sense? So that really
Yeah,
wasn't
of
my
course it does,
way of
because you're
thinking.
opening the
Yeah,
door for a whole new revelation in history, you know.
exactly.
Uh, So I totally get that. But were you surrounded by sports growing up? Because we're of an era where a lot of women weren't in sports, period,
Yeah.
especially powerlifting. So
Yes, exactly.
were you surrounded with that? I mean, because you're legendary in your field, you know.
I am.
So is there someone in your past that you felt like pushed to that area to sports, or someone that was sports inclined that you looked up to when you were growing up?
So I'll just spin it back just a tattle bit. I've always loved anything that had to do with athletics since I was that small, little. I love being outside. I love playing. I love and skipping and jumping and playing kickball, dodgeball. It didn't matter. As a small little one, like I remember as early as 5 years old, I was always loving just anything physical. That was just me as a child. And children, we always have a lot of energy anyway, right? Now, what propelled me into getting into team sports and being into sports as an athlete was that I was adopted as a small child, and I was in a family that did not support anything I did, if you know what I mean. So I ended up off with my gift from God because this is definitely a gift. It became a gift a long time ago when I was small. But that's where I got my inspiration because my family ended up being me getting into sports and organized sports, and that my teammate, that started to be my inner circle and my inner family that was supportive and loving and caring and wanted to see me succeed. So for me, I didn't have anybody that I looked up to growing up. What I did do though was I just loved what I was doing, and it was a passion and a gift early on. So I just kind of went with that, if that makes any sense. So it wasn't anything that I had initially that I was like looking up to certain athletes. It was always innately in me. So I was able to just go out and do that. And so coming out of grade school, going into high school, then I started really enjoying organized sports. So I got on the track team, I got on the golf team, I did all of that. And I just absolutely love the atmosphere. I love the unity, camaraderie between your teammates, your coaches, everybody's supporting you, everybody's in your corner. So that's where my family developed for me. And that's why I just excelled and been doing it since for decades because it's always been my love. And that's where I found my support. I found my family in being in sports and being an athlete at a very young age.
But I think that says a lot about who you are on a heart level, because you took even something that wasn't a great situation and you turned it totally around. So
Yeah.
And there are lots of people that have don't necessarily have those inspirations. Like, I'm in health. My mom wanted to be
Yeah.
a nurse, but her kids always were always in the hospital falling something, so she couldn't stand the sight of blood, right? So
Yeah.
nobody in my family really did that. And recently I found out so many of the people, like, from way back in my family, are all in healthcare, bizarre as it is, right? But
Hmm.
nobody that I was initially connected to,
Yeah.
they never even went to college. So I
Yeah.
I can see how, we do just have that calling. And for you, it's very spiritual, because even sitting with you the last time we spoke, I felt that coming off of you, that everything you do is on a very spiritual level, even
Amen.
why you do it, and how you coach other people through this to make them strong and just
Hmm.
live a magic life, right?
Yeah.
So
That's it.
um I do want to talk a little bit about your book,
Hmm.
because that's spiritual too. And
Very.
it's really about your journey and a promise you said that you made to God.
Hmm.
I remembered. So,
Yeah.
so can you tell me a little bit about when you said,
The book.
okay, it's time for me to sit down and write this book?
I had no plans to do any of this, believe it or not. I just, for years, let's say about 20 years ago, everyone kept telling me, Krista, you need to write a book because your story is just amazing. And at that time, I hadn't even still had all the experiences and the wisdom that I have now then, but they were telling me that then. So I finally just sat down with a friend of mine and I said, let's see how this works out. 'Cause I'm not a writer. I'm an athlete. I swear I don't know how to write anything. But the good thing that saved me was that I've journaled my whole life, even today. What we're doing right here, this
Me too.
podcast, will be in my journal. So that ended up being the book, believe it or not. So me and a friend of mine sat down and we started just going over my life. Now, the thing about that was that can trigger a lot of things too,
Yes,
as well. So writing my memoir was not something originally that I had planned to do, but I knew I felt that I had a calling that someday my message was going to get out there on what I've been doing all these decades later, how I have really tried to implement and help other people by all of my knowledge and wisdom of being an athlete in the positions I've been in. So originally it was not my idea, but it ended up coming together very nicely. So we ended up taking about 2.5 years to write this book. And she just collaborated with me. So basically, it's my life story. But in the end, the way I feel like my book came out was that I'm just the vessel. My book is the story to tell the whole world, how did I do this? And that's really when it comes down to it, I just feel like we're all connected innately. All humans are connected, and we're all connected to our Father, God, our creator. And that's what my book is really all about. So I'm just telling my story on how I feel like we all have purpose. I'm just saying what I did with my purpose and my passion in my life. But we all innately have purpose while we're all here on earth together.
I agree,
And God,
100%.
right. And so and for me, writing the book was just telling that part of me that I've been wanting to tell for a while. But now I was thinking I was ready for this 20 years ago, but I was told by a friend of mine, no, no, Krista, you're not ready yet. But look at now where you're at. And now here came the book. I have even much more wisdom. I have even much more experience on what I can tell my story even now, which it brought it up on a certain level now. So the book is called Krista's Promise, and it is a self-help spiritual memoir. It is really all about God. That's what I have to just, I'm going to tell everybody about that. When this book drops, it is about God and how we all have purpose, period, no matter what we do in life. And that this is all really on a more spiritual level than we probably realize. I can look back on my and I'm still going because I still have many more things I want to do. I want to write another. This will be a series of books because I'm still alive and I'm still doing do. I feel like I still have a lot more to tell the world as I'm going through it now, and it's just really going to be that. So I'm hoping that my book will resonate with a lot of people because there's a lot of lessons in my book that I learned the hard way, the good way, the being stubborn way, the being the human way that we want to control everything. And I learned um, even more on how I understand now. I have a lot of energy inside me. You do too. All of us have a lot of energy. And then once we learn the spiritual part of us, then we start elevating up, vibrating up. And then you start attracting people that are like you and think like you. And then you're all on this nice little plane of, I call it my spiritual awakening. I'm starting to understand what all of this is meaning all the way up to this point in my life. Even where I'm at still currently, I keep learning how high up this really is. And I'm really starting to be awakened on my true self, meaning me. I'm learning a lot about me that I didn't even know about until I started writing this book and started putting my thoughts and my energy on paper. Then I going, wow. And I started really realizing this is a lot more to this than we think it meets the eye, your average person. Like your journey, your purpose,
Yeah,
what
I
you do in life.
I'm so there. I think that a lot of people are afraid of what they don't know. And I
Yeah,
think but I think that there's so many different versions of God out there,
there
and
is.
none of them are actual. And I think that, and people say, oh, well, the Bible and stuff, but even the Bible was written by men, and some people say, well, he had them write it. But there's different versions of that, but it doesn't paint a picture of like some people say, well, why is there so much bad in the world, and you
Mm-hmm.
know how would a God see children die and stuff? But that's not who God is. That's what other people are reading into that, you know
I
um
agree.
so it's where your mind's at into what you make God in your life. There was a
And it's
time in
how.
my life where I was very angry with him, you know
Mm-hmm. Been there.
and when my sister died, I was very angry with him. And that was the first thing that I did, that I remembered, when I said, "Okay, no more you."
Yeah, yeah.
And I took the cross that I had worn since my communion, and
Mm-hmm.
put it up on a shelf somewhere, right? And
Mm-hmm.
but my life was so full of him, because those conversations that I had every day were always with him. So I missed that. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? So I felt like, even though through that grief and everything, that I got further away from myself instead of closer, and as I did that inner work and started to explore where my anger was, and my part and all of that, I found that cross again. you know
Yeah, right.
yeah. So
And I think that, oh,
I've always worn it, and I'm wearing this right now because my husband took it to jewelers, still the same one. The clasp was broken.
mm,
And rather than fix the clasp, the guy said, oh, she doesn't need another clasp. I could fix this one, but that's not what I asked you to do.
mm-hmm.
And it fell off again. And luckily I was in my home. So um I just put it in a box. I said, where I know it's safe and I know it's there, and I'll take it
Yep,
when I have time and get it done right. Right.
yep.
But it does, like, so my mind then and my mind now is very different. I
I
told you
agree.
about a book that I read, and it talks about Jesus being inside of all of us, right?
Uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
that he's that gut help, that gut that's
That instinct,
calling you, that
that
instinct.
gut. Yeah.
Yeah, and that and I think people really know that, because I don't know about everybody else, but if you have a relationship with God and you ask him, he answers. At least he answers mine,
Absolutely.
you know.
He
So
answers mine too.
yeah, so there could never be like a question in my mind, like, does he exist? That's not even a real question as far as I'm concerned. But I think that where people are in their life, that
Hmm.
there's a lot of people that are broken
Yeah,
spiritually and
yeah,
emotionally
yeah,
broken, and
yeah,
we need to help them come back because we are all connected, and that's part of your journey, that's part of my journey, because you
yeah,
mentioned we're all connected, we are all related, brother and sister, mothers, daughters, we're all related, we're connected on all of that level because we're all his children, right? And in the book that I'm telling you about, it says if we know someone's struggling and we don't help them, then shame on
yep.
us
That's
because
it.
we're only hurting ourselves because they're
Right.
part of our peace. And if we're
I
not
agree.
helping that, we're not helping ourselves either. So when you look at it that way, you're like, you know, and you start seeing how everything connects all around us.
And you know, you're right. I'll just piggyback off on one big thing that I caught you say, which is how no matter what your faith is, no matter what you believe in, all of us believe in something. Even atheists believe in something. They don't believe in God. They believe in something. So all of us as humans, we all have a belief in something, whether it be goals that we want to do or that we believe that the sun is going to rise. We know that we believe that because we see it, right?
Mhm.
I think everybody's journey is different. It's a time for everyone. I've done in my life, I've put all this to the test. I've asked God for certain things specifically. And then I would say, show it to me, God. And he would show it to me. Well, there's no way I couldn't believe. So say I ask him for something in particular special, or just say something. Say I say, God, I want to attract a cup of coffee today. I'm just saying something silly like that. All of a sudden, I go someplace and somebody offers me a cup of coffee. A cup of coffee. That was specifically what I said. So a lot of times for me in my life, I've put it to the test. I put it to the test with my instinct. I would say, now, Krista, your instinct's telling you go left when I'm driving. Well, that's my instinct, and it's usually right, and that's my God gut. That's God probably telling me go left, don't go right. There might be an accident on the right? So say I put that to the test. I go to the right, and guess what? Down the street was an accident. So for me, it's all been kind of proof in the pudding with me in my life in this journey, even right now that I'm on. It's all been proven for me in my life. It works. It's all in the law of attraction. I study all the 12 laws of the universe, and one of them is that law of attraction. And it's absolutely true. What you think about, you will bring about in your life. Just think about
Absolutely.
something for a very long time and watch it come true for you. And that's the same thing with, like you said, bad things that happen out in this world, good things happen out in this world. You reap what you sow. It's true. If you go and help that person do that one thing, guess what's going to happen with you? It's going to come back around full circle in a good way. You help somebody, watch somebody come and help you. It just happens that way. That's just the laws of the universe and how it works. In the same way, if you constantly are doing something bad, sowing out bad energy, toxic energy, you're going to attract back that same kind of energy to you.
Yeah.
So, to
I tell
me,
my
it's
husband that all the time.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
told him he's not allowed. My husband
yeah,
is not in the same place I am spiritually. Let's just
yeah.
say, and I told him you're not allowed to sit over here because
You feel
this is only a good energy space.
that's it.
Just stay over there
That's
with that
it.
negativity.
Yeah.
So we laugh about it, but you know, people
But
are
I
in
think it's
different
true for
places. Yeah,
yeah.
everybody.
I think everybody is an integral space for you to be in. And all I can say is I got proof in my pudding. All
Me
you
too.
got to do, look like yourself. Look at the person's life. Look at the direction it's going. Look at how many people they're impacting. That's what you look at. You don't look at how much money they got and all this kind of crap. Who cares about all that materialistic stuff? What I feel like matters is the person's spirit. How do they treat other people? How do you want to be treated? And I feel like as much good as you can put out here, you're going to get all that back. You're going to get good back. You put out good in this world, you're not going to get bad back. That's not even the law of attraction at all. You're not going to put out some negative and get positive back. No, you're going to
Doesn't
get
work that
negative.
way.
Right. It doesn't work that right. You're right. So I just believe that a lot of people are in this place right now, especially in the world. These people are living, just live in the world. I'm not of the world. At right now, the present time with this world and all the people in it, a lot of people are living of this world right now. The social media, the negative stuff, the
Yes.
toxic people running around, all this negative crap going around. These people are feeding off of that energy and they're staying with that. And I'm just wanting to say, we all, as a collective whole, the ones who are rising up, the ones that are vibrating up on a higher level of understanding and awakeness, we need to play this forward to other people to tell them our story so that they can start at least trying to change the way they're thinking about certain things right now. And I'm not trying to push religion or anything like that on anybody. I just know what God has done me in my life, and I got proof of all of it. All I can do is say that happened. It really did happen, and I can show proof of it. Or I could say this happened, and I can really and I can even show the proof about when I do the stupid stuff in life, how the stupid
Hmm.
stuff comes right
We
back
all
to
been
me.
there, girl. All
Oh
of
my,
us.
so I think it's a really easy equation. It's just like you said, it is our job right now because of the way the world is going and the way the world is right now with all this division and not no unity as much as it used to be. We have to come back together and we have to put this message out here. Look, folks, wake up, wake up. You got to wake up. And even about yourself personally, you have to start loving on you first, then spread it out. But you got to love you. You got to start taking care of you mentally, physically, and spiritually. Those three things, you need to be thinking about yourself on those first. Then you can help the family and help everybody else. But
Yeah,
you got to get
exactly.
the part first right.
Thoughts in
Sure.
you. Listen, you're speaking my song. I just went into my group today and said, listen, I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but here it goes. I said, the Americans are dangerously close to extinction. And I said, the
Yeah.
toxicity, and I mentioned the time that they spend online. Your
Yeah.
body is not meant to be up all that time
That's
with
it.
that thing,
That's it.
in that light. But we're killing ourselves with overnutrition.
Yeah. That's it.
Overnutrition. So I said, this is crazy because we're eating 20% more than we did 100 years ago.
Yep.
The soil is so much more depleted. Now, we're supposed to be such a strong nation, Krista, right?
Yep.
But if you look at all the other places in the world, it's not happening there. So there's
Yeah.
so much, and the division is a big part of it,
Yep.
there's more homelessness, more
Yep.
more people going hungry every night.
Yep.
So if we don't come together, and I said that in the group, I said if we to survive, not just yourself, but as a community and as
Yeah.
a country, we're
Yeah.
gonna need all hands on deck.
We
I
do.
said, you got so many different modalities out there. You got the EFT, you
We
got
do.
the yoga, you got this. I said, we're going to need everybody on deck to bring this country back up. All hands in.
We really do.
I said, well,
And
I hope you have a good night. On that note, I hope you have a, they're
and
probably
then
like,
you know
what is
what?
this shit?
Us as individuals,
Yeah, but,
what are these people now selling their souls for? And is it worth it? Really? I
but
mean, if you
that's what
think
I'm
about,
trying to explain. So
yeah,
I get a lot of kickback because I'm health, and people
yeah,
say you shouldn't tell people the how. Because
mm,
then they won't need your services. I said, what makes you think this is about service?
that's right.
That is
That's
my
right.
service. I'm telling them the
That's
truth
right.
because you haven't done
That's
it.
right.
And and
That's right.
people don't get that, but they need to hear the truth because people have
Need to
been
hear the
lying
truth.
to them for so long. And that's why healthcare is the way it is. You know, after COVID, and this is some real shit, as real can be. You
Mm-hmm.
know, COVID scared the hell out of everybody, and people started really getting back into health
Mm-hmm.
and taking priority. And all of a sudden, all these magical cures came out. Oh, you want to lose weight? Well,
Yeah,
we just developed
yeah,
this pill.
yeah,
This
yeah,
pill that was
yeah.
only available if you were a millionaire before is now available to everybody with insurance, right? So
Right.
these cures are always there, but their focus has never been on cure because it's not lucrative. So who are
That's
they
right.
really serving? So and I'm speaking to that,
That's true.
and people aren't going to like it, but I don't care because it's my message, that.
That's what the pharmaceutical companies are $1 trillion business because
But
they just
even
want to give
even
you a pill.
healthcare, even
Yeah,
health, it is a
healthcare,
trillion
just
dollar
in
business.
general.
But healthcare
Yeah,
is a big business now, trillions of
it
dollars.
is.
It's
It
not
is.
about the patients anymore,
No, it's not.
it's really not. And we need to get back into that. So by educating people and telling them, just like the conversation we're having now
Yeah,
about getting back into your body and
yeah,
asking those questions when you go to the doctor.
yeah,
Krista used to drive me crazy when my mother was still alive, drive me crazy that she would go to the doctor and come home more confused and then ask me questions. And I'd say, did you just not leave the doctor? Did you even think, yeah, but
yeah,
you explain it better. I said, well, there's something wrong with
yeah,
that picture,
yeah,
you know?
exactly.
And it just drove me crazy,
And
so
we have to ask more questions. I just did a speaking out in Seattle, and I was speaking to a bunch of students from HBCU, Historical Black Colleges. And that was one of my things that I said in my speaking to these kids. Ask questions. Always ask questions. I told them to this day, I am like the Serena and Venus of powerlifting. I really truly am. But guess what Krista still does? I still ask questions to this day.
always I
And
learn something new
oh,
from people every day.
every
I make
day.
it
Me
my
too.
business to learn something new. If you're
Me
not
too.
learning, you're not growing.
You're not growing. But you
And
got
you
to
and
ask, like you said, you got to ask those questions. You cannot, if you have something, that's why I was telling those students, if y'all have something you don't understand, even an inkling of something you don't understand, ask, ask. And I said, and if you get somebody who don't really particularly know the answer to that question, go find somebody else who does. But
yeah,
ask questions. I think it's very important for people to ask. Like you said, in the health industry, exactly. I ask before any orthopedic surgeon did anything on this body, I'd ask them, what parts you putting in me? What are they made of? And I would tell them, talk to me like I'm a 2-year old in
yeah,
layman's terms.
exactly. You hit
Don't
it
give me
on the
these
head.
long words that I have no idea what they are. I said, talk to me like I'm two. And I was very adamant about that. I don't care what kind of doctor he was. If he ain't walking on water, he can help me to explain to me what you're doing. And then I was like you when your mom would come home to you and ask you, and I was that type of person, and I've always been that kind of patient. When I ask, and if they
You
start
have
explaining,
to, and if they can't
you have to.
explain it or they're too busy, there's a lot of pressure on doctors now.
Yeah.
And people have to know what kind of questions to ask. So I'm always educating people that when they think of something that they're feeling now in their
Mm-hmm.
body, it's not just starting now. There's always signs
Yep. It's
before.
been.
So,
Yep.
and that the doctor, if you go in and you say, well, I'm throwing up a lot today, right? He's going to ask you, how long has this been going
How long
on?
has it
What
been
are
doing
other
it? Yep.
signs and symptoms? So,
Yep.
as these symptoms are occurring, you should write them down so you don't forget them. So, when you go to the doctor, you could tell them, I was short of breath. I started throwing up. I
Yep.
got dizzy. I
Yep.
had this because those pieces are going to draw a much quicker
Solution.
outline of what's
Yeah.
going on and
Right.
gear more towards curative,
I agree.
and if he's any kind of doctor, he's going to do his due diligence and give you the answers that
And
you
give you the
really need
answer.
and give you
And
the
like you
give you
said, not have those, even if they started with those long words with me, I would stop them immediately. And I and a lot of people are intimidated by doctors. I'm not one.
I'm
If you
not.
don't
I've
walk on water,
gotten
if
a
you,
lot of trouble
I'm
for
just
telling
not.
a few where to go.
Oh man. But see, I think as you're the patient, they're the doctor, but they get ready to do something for you or on you. You have every right to know what's going on.
We
And
had a
like you said,
doctor.
I think a
We
lot
had
of
a
people just don't want to ask.
we had a doctor in a facility. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. We
No,
had
go
we had
ahead.
a doctor in a facility that I worked in, and he was just amazing, and he loved to teach the nurses. You could ask him anything because he would order tests and or specialties that didn't really particularly go with this patient. I'd say, "Why are you doing that?
Yeah,
I need to know." And
yeah,
he was never too busy to answer your question, you
that's a
know?
good one.
Yeah. And he was a great doctor, brilliant, brilliant, young guy too, and
I
we
think
learned so
sometimes though, even if you get with uh, a doctor in particular, and they might be rushing around and just don't have a lot of time, but they know that if you ask them those questions, they'll remember you the next time you come in, and they'll know that they want to, you know, that you're going to be expecting that, and they're going to expect that from you. So, you know what I mean? So, like if he has
hmm
a patient that comes in, he or she, and they come in and they don't say nothing. Well, guess what? The doctor's going to remember that next time and say, well, they ain't going to ask nothing, so I'm not going to worry about that. But the one that does ask the questions, oh, that doctor's on alert because they know when you walk in the door, like yourself, you're going to ask a question and they're going to know you will. And they're going to have an answer. That's going to be understanding in your for your ears and your knowledge, you know. So I just think that that's the case. A lot of people just don't want to ask. I just think because they're intimidated by doctor. Anything got MD behind it. Oh, I can't ask them nothing. No, no. Open your mouth.
But people
Ask.
have to realize they're just human too, and they make
They
mistakes
are.
just like anybody else. Because
They
as
are.
nurses, we have to check their orders all the time.
Exactly.
And if we don't agree with them, we have to say, I'm sorry, I can't do this, and this is why. And
Yeah.
so we have a very congenial relationship for the most part. We work as a multidisciplinary team, but there's always been pieces missing. Even though we have that big team, they
Yeah.
weren't really thinking about those other modalities. Like doctors aren't taught nutrition. They
Right.
don't have to know that
Yeah.
because there's always a dietitian on staff. So they
Right.
just send them there. But
Right.
so, I'm a nurse. There's always a
Yeah.
doctor on staff. I'm not a doctor, but I do have to know the things that are in my scope, and I do have to
Exactly.
know nutrition even though I wasn't that dietitian. I had to know it because I had to educate the patients in it. So
That's right.
it's different. So we should have to know a basic of those other modalities so that we know who to refer people to. Like we had a
Exactly.
physiatrist, and um, when we first, one of those first came to the facility, I said, well, "Who is this guy, and what exactly is a physiatrist?" And
Yeah. I don't
he
even know
heard
what
me
that
and
is.
he
What is
said,
that?
"The physiatrist." Well, they cover the whole body. So all doctors have specialty, but their specialty is the whole body. So, so they'll evaluate what all the doctors are doing, like the dietitian, this, that, and the other thing. And if
Okay.
that person is not hitting marks and getting better, then he looks at it and sees what they've missed. Because I talk about this in my stories too, that doctors spend so many years getting educated in the human body, and then they're taught to specialize in one
Specialized
specific thing,
specific. Yeah.
specialization,
Specific area.
but they
Yeah.
lose sight of the rest of the body because now they're focusing on the nose or the knee or the
Exactly.
foot.
Exactly.
So they're not
Exactly.
taking into account all the other systems, and
Right.
they shouldn't because they're missing big pieces. So,
Hmm.
I talk about that. So this guy kind of brings all those pieces back together if something's missed. And very
And
few
remember,
facilities, yeah.
you'll have those. Remember when we was talking a day ago or whenever it was, and I told you my sister retired from being an RN
Mm.
for the VA, and she told me exactly what you just said a long time ago. She said, "Krista, at the end of the day, RNs, us, we know a lot more than people think because they think a doctor's supposed to know that." She said, "No, RNs know that."
We
And she
have
was
to.
saying kind of the same thing. She said, we we know a lot more than people think, and they think because doctor is over us that they know more. And she said that's not true. She said actually, as a nurse, like I said, and she retired from it being an RN from the VA, so she had to deal with all the vets and everything.
Yeah,
She said
lots of stuff.
you wouldn't believe. She said we know a lot more than the doctors do, believe it or not.
But
And I said,
it's ingrained into us at a very, very beginning, like day
yeah,
one of nursing, that we treat the whole body. That, look at
yeah,
your patient. What do you see? You're treating the
yeah,
whole person, and a lot of times they're families, and they let you know.
yeah, yeah,
You're not just treating that person, you're treating their family and
yeah,
everything that goes on with them, because they function as a unit. They're not just this person. They're connected to this and to
exactly.
that. So that's part of the foundation. But
What's the name
nurse,
of that doctor again? Would you say the name of it,
oh,
doctor?
Dr. Jawade, he was amazing. Oh, the physiatrist.
Physiatrist. Okay,
Physiatrist. So
that's
yeah,
whole
I
body.
I have phonic problems with the with
Physiatrist.
certain words. But
Physiatrist. No,
yeah. But and
that's
he
interesting.
was a delight. He was a delight. But
Hmm.
you do have to ask those questions amongst the team, like there's always um nurses have so many different parts. We are the social worker at times, we
Yep,
are the
you're the
advocate.
counselor.
We
Yep,
we
you're
all of
everything.
those things,
Yeah,
and you kind of have to be.
yeah.
But it's not really like a power struggle with doctors and nurses, because we just, um
Hmm.
you have doctors that you can call any hour of the night, and then you have those that hang up on you when you know what time it is. So so yes, I do, and I'm
You
gonna
know
wake you
what?
back up again because you hung up. you
Even in
know
your expertise of being in health, and that's the same thing with athletes, us. We know our body. We
you
know what
have
we need to
to.
do. We have to in order for it to perform and do what we need it to do. So I would say, speaking to athletes on any sport, it don't matter what sport they're in, no matter what level they're on. Athletes ourselves, we have mastered knowing this physically, what we need to do, nutrition wise, what we need to do, how much sleep we need to get, blah, blah, blah. So those are all the essential things that we need to be working on anyway as people. But
Yes.
athletes, like you said, just like in the healthcare industry, RNs, doctors, you gotta master, you gotta know that this. You really do. And I think it's awesome. We have different areas of expertise, but we actually have the same thing in one area. We know the body. We know what we need to do to get the body right and make
you
sure it's
you have
performing
to.
correctly. And if it gets sick and things start happening, we need to know what to do to take care of that. So yeah,
But
yeah, I
that's what
agree
we
with
got
that.
to be out there teaching, and I'm gonna grab you in my arm, and we're gonna do that too, because
We could do that.
we hear a lot about different genders and different races
Right,
suffering from
right.
more morbidity and mortality rates,
Yep,
and stuff like that, and they, the healthcare system says we don't understand why. Don't you? Because access is denied to a lot of people that really need that healthcare. This is a country where if you don't have good healthcare, you ain't getting seen.
yep.
So the
You're right.
answers are there, and we really do have to awaken them, because as a community and as a country,
Yep,
we do have a choice in those rights,
yeah,
you know.
we
So
do.
we need to start looking at people that are really going to support us as a nation, and not people that don't, because we're
I
part
agree.
of that problem. Like there's those people that say, I'm not going to go out and vote, I don't like you, I can't do it. It doesn't matter if
Yeah,
you like them,
no.
someone's going to win, so you may as well pick the better of the
You,
two, right?
well,
So
yeah,
so
exactly.
but that's how they are with local cities and governments and schools and politics. Some people just don't want to get involved, but we make
Hmm.
those decisions. And
We
if
do.
we don't start taking part in that, then there's nothing. If nothing changes, Krista, nothing changes. It's that simple. Nothing changes,
I
nothing
agree.
changes. So we
I
we
agree.
we have to start doing that, in even in our interactions, And
Yeah.
I felt that with you immediately when we got
Oh
together
yeah.
to talk, right? I could feel
Yeah.
your spirit. You're
Yeah.
very, very spiritual and very
Yeah. I am.
heart-centered.
I am.
Yeah, that
That's a
shows.
gift. That's a gift too. And then I've really and I say this a lot in the book. I didn't I've always believed in God, loved going to church and all these things, right? But as I became an adult, spirit
Mhm. You
vessel.
froze a little bit there.
Oh,
Uh, you froze a little bit there.
am I here
I don't
now?
know if it's
You
my
got me?
Wi-Fi or yours, but
Oh, that's probably mine. It's probably mine. Can you hear me
but
now? Am I good now?
I can hear you now. But before we lose you again, because
Yeah.
that's usually a sign it's going to go
Okay.
down. I want to.
Okay.
How do people get in touch with you?
Okay. So the easiest way to find me is go on my website. So it's www.powerbykrista, Krista.com. The book is on there if you want to pre-order it. It's dropping soon and it'll be shown on there when it's dropping. Also, if anybody would like to just email me, I'm not a big social media person. I never have been, but on Facebook and Instagram, I'm under Power by Krista, same thing. So everything is under Power by Krista. But I think the easiest way besides going through my it's just emailing me. So it's K Ford, number 44, letter U at yahoo.com. Probably the easiest way. So I check my emails all day long there.
I
That's
love
the
that.
easiest way to find it. Yeah, yeah.
So if you
So,
can
but like I
give
said, I'm not. Hmm?
no,
Go
because
ahead.
I know that you're not. You told me you made very clear. I don't do social media. I said, well, you have to because you have to promote your
I
book.
know,
Yeah, I
I know.
don't
I
want to
don't do
do
it
it.
as much. Let's just say it. I just don't. I don't post every day things like that. But I am on there. But I don't do as much as most people. But go ahead.
I'm in stories every day, even if it's I think like I have a different message. So for me it's a little different because I'm trying to like help with health, right? So
Right.
there's so many people out there and so many people claiming to actually know health that don't really at all, right? And then there are
Mm-hmm.
people that are really out there to help. So you can get
Right.
lost in all of that
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I do stand against the people that are just trying to sell those quick fixes and just trying to turn a
Yeah.
buck because they're no
Yeah.
different than healthcare or pharmaceutical companies. They're the
Exactly.
same, right?
Exactly.
So I can't differentiate between those two. So if I'm not out there telling people, what's good and this is what you should be doing for you, then I might lose them, right? And I'm not losing
Right.
them. I
Right.
spent my life protecting them. I ain't losing them now. So,
Right.
um, so I do little snapshots. I've done hundreds of shows since I've been out here. But if
Mm-hmm.
you're not in your stories, they think that you just don't care. So I
Right.
said, I'm busy working on stuff right
Yeah.
now. So look at the other stuff I'm doing. I'm always out here for you guys, right? Because that's
Yeah.
all I
Yeah.
talk about with the people and
Yeah.
the community. I meet the most fascinating people in these
Yeah.
shows and the most incredible people like yourself that are just
Yeah. Yeah.
sharing their joy and their
Yeah.
spirit with the world. And I think that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Thank you. I
I think it's
try.
amazing, because
Yeah.
I get to be a part of that world, you know?
And that's going to be my take on when this book drops. I've already seen the vision. I already know what this book's going to do, and that's going to be my platform of social media. Because what's getting ready to happen, I've already seen it. I'm going to be like you in the sense of I'm getting ready to tell the whole world this, and I'm going to be put in rooms where I probably thought I never would be into because I'm not so much on the social media and I don't have that presence and I don't have all these followers. I got people that follow me, but that's not the way I'm getting my message out. I've already seen it. I'm going to get my message out there in that way, but different. When I say that, I'm just going to be out here, and everybody's going to hear this message. Book drops. This book is going to be hot. It's going to be a message in this book that is going to resonate with each and every person. I know it will. I just know it will.
I'm good.
Somewhere
Well,
in
listen, I'll be
yeah,
pre-ordering it. I got your
I,
links and stuff. Listen, it's a book I want to read. I buy so many books. I'm
you
like,
told
that's
me
all I
that.
do. I have
I
a
remember you
long
told.
travel to work every day, so I
Yeah.
read the first 2 hours of every day.
See. And that's a good thing. And like sometimes you just can't explain why sometimes uh you have God's favor. And so he's been telling me all along, Krista, I will be your social media. Don't worry about this. When other people are saying, oh, Krista, you need to be out here. No, no. I felt that a while back when I was first getting my manuscript looked at by the publishing company. It's like God told me that, Krista, don't worry about this social media. I will be your social media. You watch and see the doors are getting ready to open up. You're just going to be in the right place at the right time, and it has nothing to do with how many followers you have, because it's just going to be this message that is supposed to be out here. But that's
I
me.
believe
That's
that.
what I'm
And
experiencing. Yeah,
I also believe that it's just that one person, that one right person that
that's it.
hears your message and
That's
has
it.
all those channels that you
Yeah,
can get it out on. And I strongly believe that. You
I
know,
believe that too.
we never know who's listening and who's
Don't.
watching. We really don't. And I think like, I think we need to be more aware of how soon. We need to
Yeah,
be
we do. We do.
we need to
We
be
need to
more
be aware.
aware of what we're doing
Yeah,
out there.
yeah. Be aware of certain things. But what you just said, I've kind of had that vision too already. What you just said, that God is getting ready to provide me all the provisions, all the people, all the things, everything I need to get this book out here, because this book is about Him. It has nothing to do with me. So if you think about it, the higher power is in hand here. You can't touch Him. So if this is His project, which I was worried about that a while back about, um, the book and every friend of mine, spiritual. What are you worried about? This is God's project. This isn't your project. You're just the vessel. You're going to send out the message. And so when she said that, it made me think. And then all of a sudden, just omen after omen after omen about this book. I was doing book signings, and when I did not even have the book yet. How you do that? How do you go to a book signing and you don't
Honey,
even have your book yet?
God's gonna carry you right where you need to be.
That's it.
We do have to end this call because I think people are gonna
Okay.
kill us if we go much over the hour.
Oh man,
They'll
I
come
know we get to
looking for us.
talking. I know we can
But
talk for
I want
hours.
you
I
guys
get
all to keep your eye out for her book. It's Krista's Promise. She's giving you, just give them the website information again because it is on the
okay.
website. So just give it
Okay.
to them
So
again.
okay, so it's poweredbykrista.com, Krista. You can go on the website and pre-order my book now. It's called Krista Promise. When it does drop, it'll be on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Target, all that. It'll be there. But for right now, if you want to get it now, I would encourage you to get it now. So you can go on there. So www.poweredbykrista.com.
And I want to thank you guys all for tuning in and thank our special guest, Krista Ford. And I know you're going to be seeing a lot
Yay!
of her because this is God's
Great.
walk. Have a great
That's
day,
right.
guys. Good night.